Yo, yo, yo. It's your boy Michelle Guapo, man. Street Certified News. We back with another one. Man, this week's story, man, took me down a rabbit hole with the holiday season coming up. I was interested in where is Kwanzaa from? You know what I mean? It's one of those things that I see it on TV, I see it in books. I remember as a kid, it was like in our textbooks. But I never seen my grandparents or my parents bring it up or talk about it or anything. You know what I mean? So I just went to go ahead, you know what I'm saying? I went to look into it. I did my due diligence. And of course, man, I found the wildest story, man. Like I said, it took me down the rabbit hole. This guy, the creator of Kwanzaa, named Ronald Everett, aka Mulana Kerenga. Man, he has a crazy background. Like you can see from the title, man, he was at a time working for the FBI, taking money and guns, and basically going to war with the Black Panthers. The FBI was using his organization to really fight the Black Panthers in California, and ultimately they succeeded, man. It's crazy that to this day this guy's alive. He sat on a number of prestigious Black studies departments and universities. And of course, man, he's most famously known as the creator of Kwanzaa. It was, like I said, bro, it's a crazy story. Anyway, man, hey, appreciate y'all for tuning in, man. This week's story, the creator of Kwanzaa, man. Government informant, man, exposed. This is breaking news. I'm surprised, this story isn't already out there, man. But anyway, with no further ado, man, you know what I'm saying? Let's get right into it.
Ronald McKinley Everett was born July 14th, 1941, in the oceanfront city of Parsonsburg, Maryland. Best known as the creator of the Pan-African holiday Kwanzaa, his history turned out not to be what it seemed. Born to a sharecropper family, Ronald, the seventh of 14 children, would later change his name to Mulana Kerenga. Kerenga would go on to follow in one of his older brother's footsteps when he moved to Los Angeles, California in 1959. Moving in with his brother, who was already by now an educator, Ronald would enroll in Los Angeles City College and then UCLA. By the 1965 Los Angeles Watts riots and the rise of the Black nationalist freedom movement, Ronald Everett, aka Mulana Kerenga, of Parsonsburg, Maryland, would be a political science graduate student at UCLA, with some people believing he would join organizations like SNCC and the Congress of Racial Equality. Already a political science doctoral student, Ronald began taking language classes in Arabic and Swahili. In the aftermath of the riots, Everett would go on to leave those organizations and join the newly founded Los Angeles Black Congress. The Black Congress was a group centered around Black nationalists and Pan-African ideas, eventually led by a group of men nicknamed the Circle of Seven, which would include Ronald himself, as well as Hakeem Jamal, a cousin of Malcolm X. The Black Congress would originally be heavily influenced by Malcolm's ideas, before unexpectedly transforming into a group that mostly promoted bringing African-like culture to Black Americans. Appearing at a series of Black Power conferences, the eventual Kwanzaa founder joined other groups in urging the establishment for a separate political structure for African Americans in the United States. During that same time, groups like the Nation of Islam and the Black Panthers were demanding white Americans share resources and political rights within their same power structure. This difference in philosophy would turn would-be friendly organizations into bitter rivals, to the federal government and FBI's satisfaction. During this time, Ronald Everett would branch off from the Greater Black Congress Group to create his own, the U.S. organization, also called the US Organization. At the same time, the creation of a holiday to rival Christmas and Hanukkah, specifically designed for African Americans called KWANZAA, would also be first observed. The U.S. organization, ironically named, would soon develop a youth or gang component with a paramilitary group called Simba Wachanga. This group advocated for and practiced community self-defense in service to the masses in the Los Angeles community. The first of the black nationalist groups to begin using violence to push rivals into other neighborhoods, some say the U.S. organization began a local warfare that persists in cities across America to this day, with many Los Angeles organizations like the Crips and Bloods attributing their formation to this same neighborhood violence of 1960s LA. It is unknown whether Ronald Everett would be recruited while in UCLA graduate school, soon after the Watts riots, or around the creation of the U.S. organization. But by the late 1960s, his group no doubt would be funded by shadow government departments linked to the LAPD and FBI, with some even considering Everett himself to be a CIA asset.
It's a lot of information. This guy Kerenga is originally from Maryland, and he moves to California with an older brother. He's like the 7th of 14 children back in the day. You know, so you might have a grown brother and sister or something like that when you growing up. That was kind of common back in the day. When he goes to California, his brother's already an educator. He enrolls in UCLA. He gets multiple graduate degrees in political science, all before the 1965 Watts riots. After the Watts riots, the government is looking for ways to kind of squash this new Black Power freedom movement, spearheaded by the Black Panthers. And lo and behold, our KWANZAA guy, man, he pops up with an organization called the U.S. Organization. And his number one job, what he was paid by the FBI and the LAPD to do, was to kill Black Panthers, was to show up, was to disrupt. And he did end up going to jail, but as you can see in 2025, you know, he was rewarded by the government with the promotion of his creation, which now millions of people celebrate, called KWANZAA.
As a part of its COINTELPRO operations, the FBI had already been proven to have had direct communication with Ronald Everett during the U.S. organization's rivalry with the Black Panthers. Many believe the FBI originally contacted both organizations and only began working with Everett after having been turned down by the Panthers' leadership. Despite its beginnings, this rivalry between the Panthers and the U.S. organization would come to a head in 1969, when the two groups supported different candidates to head the Afro-American Studies Center at the University of California, Los Angeles. According to Louis Tackwood, a former informant with the Los Angeles Police Department's Criminal Conspiracies Division and eventual author of the Glass House tapes, one of the publications we would cite in this video, Ronald Everett, aka Kerenga, knowingly received financial and material support by the FBI through the LAPD, with Tackwood himself as liaison, specifically for U.S. organization operations against the Black Panthers. On January 17, 1969, a gun battle between the groups on the UCLA campus ended in the deaths of two Black Panthers, John Huggins and Al Prince's Bunchy Carter. The deaths of these two Panthers would then lead to a series of retaliatory shootings that lasted for months in the streets of Los Angeles. Later, in 1969, 2 other Black Panther members were killed, and 1 was wounded by U.S. organization members. Now, an unearthed memorandum of the Los Angeles Field Office of the FBI, dated May 26, 1970, has confirmed that the surge of the conflict that left 4 Panthers dead suited the FBI's objectives. That memorandum, dated May 26, 1970, stated that it was intended that the U.S. organization be discreetly and appropriately advised of the time and locations of Black Panther Party activities, and that the 2 organizations might be brought together, and thus grant nature the opportunity to take her due course. This quote will be taken directly from the nonfiction book, The Revolution's End, published in 2016. The Panthers often referred to the U.S. organization as the United Slaves, a term meant to highlight their potential connection to the federal government and COINTELPRO itself. And by 1971, much of the Black nationalist ideology had been lost to gang violence, and the FBI's COINTELPRO plan to disrupt and dismantle Black power organizations like the Black Panthers have for the most part succeeded, with much of the credit going to entrenched double agents like Ronald Everett. It is unknown whether other members of the U.S. group knew where the guns and money were coming from to fight the Panthers, but many believe that Everett, aka Kerenga, abused the fact that the government was his partner by carrying out violence without fear of arrest. In 1971, Kerenga, Louis Smith, and Luz Marie Tamayo were convicted of felony assault. Kerenga was sentenced to 1 to 10 years in prison on counts of felony assault and false imprisonment after having been arrested for the beating and kidnapping of 2 female U.S. organization members. Deborah Jones, who was once given the Swahili title of African Queen, said that she and Gail Davis were whipped with an and beat time after being ordered to remove their clothes. She would testify that Kerenga, head of the U.S. organization himself, had carried out the torture. Ronald Everett, aka Kerenga, would only serve 4 years of a 10-year sentence, being paroled only a year after the dissolution of the U.S. organization in 1975. While in prison, Kerenga would continue his higher education studies. Already having graduate degrees in political science, he would be awarded his first PhD in 1976 by San Diego-based United States International University, now called Alliant University, also later attempting to reestablish his U.S. organization, albeit unsuccessfully. For much of Ronald Everett, aka Mulana Kerenga's life after prison, he would be made famous for his creation of KWANZAA, as well as holding major positions in African American studies departments among top American universities. Both these universities and the American government seem to promote the idea of Kerenga being an African American hero, even before many African Americans knew who he was or what he did. In 1994, Kerenga again was awarded an honorary PhD from the University of Southern California and would go on to sit on the committee that authored the mission statement for the Million Man March. After its 1965 creation in California, KWANZAA was spread to many parts, inside and outside of the United States, even being partly recognized by the United States government itself. Despite this adoption, there is no evidence KWANZAA, which is technically misspelled in the Swahili language, there is no evidence that it has ever been directly observed in or by any African countries. Despite the fact that Ronald Everett worked for the FBI and fought against the Black Panthers, which has to be the worst street resume for a freedom-fighting Black American ever. His creation, KWANZAA, has been promoted as the official Black holiday of America. A 2009 estimate placed the number of Americans who celebrate KWANZAA as between 500,000 and 2 million. In 2025, that number has now ballooned to as high as 9 million, with as much as another 10 million globally.
Man, you tell me what y'all think, man. You know what I'm saying? It was a lot of information, I know. You know what I'm saying? Drop a comment, man. Are you guys surprised at this story? You know, he's one of our Black leaders. Like I said, he's still alive. He's still sitting on these prestigious Black boards. Clearly, this guy, you know what I'm saying, worked with the FBI and the LAPD. Like I said, the main sources that we got our information from was a book called Revolution's End, written in 2016, where they speak with former FBI agents just about like the craziest stories, including ending the Black Power Revolution, which is the title of the book, as well as the Glass House tapes, written by a former LAPD and FBI informant who worked directly with Mulana Kerenga and supplied him with money and guns. And it looks like they were telling them where they were at so that they could pull up on them. It was like a lot going on. And it's all been, it's all been verified through documentation over the years. Again, man, I'm surprised nobody found this. But either way, man, you know what I'm saying? Just let you know, bro, we always looking, you know what I'm saying, for the real shit, man. You know, it's a lot of people that care about these rappers telling and who doing this and who doing that. I think it's more important that we focus our time and our information on people like this guy. So, you know, anybody that's celebrating KWANZAA, man, you know what I'm saying, you might want to think twice. It's really just some made up shit. You feel me? Either way, man, it's your boy, Informant, Street Certified News, man, the most reputable source for urban media, man. Please hit that like, comment, subscribe, man. Appreciate you. Love you. We out.